Welcome to Block 6 of our Block of the Month 2022. This block uses a 1/4 yard of background fabric, 1/6 yard of a medium fabric, and 1/8 yard of a dark fabric. You can find this pattern to print in the Files section of our Facebook group called The Quilted Forest Friends, or you can push pause and take notes, or you can screenshot it and print it from home. I'll show it again at the end of the video, but for now, it's time to cut. From the background fabric, cut one strip that is 2.5 inches by the width of the fabric. Also, cut 4 squares that are 5 inches by 5 inches. From the medium fabric, cut 4 squares that measure 5 inches by 5 inches. From the dark fabric, cut one strip that is 2.5 inches by the width of the fabric. In addition to the colorway you're seeing of bright batiks, I'm making a version in red, white, and blue fabrics, and also bright prints with a black background. Piece using 1/4 inch seam allowances. Piece the dark 2.5 inch strip to the background 2.5 inch strip. When I'm making my blocks for the block of the month, I'm doing all 3 of my colorways at the same time, so I just keep feeding them through the machine. Now it's time to head to the ironing board. Press toward the dark on the strip set. Cut the strip set in half. Place the 2 halves with right sides together on the cutting mat. The seams will nest in the middle, and the dark fabric should be on top of the light fabric. You will cut units that are 2.5 inches wide. Keep the sections together because they're already stacked the way you should send them through the sewing machine. It saves time when you cut this way. Cut 8 sections that are 2.5 inches wide. You want to make sure you're very careful when you're cutting these sections. I usually cut at the 5 inch mark first, and then I cut at the 2.5 inch mark. And like I said before, these are stacked and ready to sew through the machine. The 4 patch units for all 3 colorways are ready to sew. Since you cut them stacked, you just need to send them through the machine. I usually have to adjust them a little just to make sure they're straight. When I'm chain sewing, I love using my Blade Saver thread cutter to cut units apart. It's much faster than using a scissor. You can press the seams for the 4 patch units to one side, or if you prefer, you could press them open. On the wrong side of all of the background 5 inch squares, draw a line corner to corner. If you don't want to draw the lines, you can use the diagonal seam tape instead to help you do the next part. Place the background 5 inch square onto a medium square right sides together, so a 1/4 inch away from the line on each side of it. We hope you'll hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our Block of the Month videos. Cut between the sewn lines on the 5-inch squares. For the half square triangle units, you want to press towards the medium fabric. For the best accuracy, these blocks are oversized and we will trim them down to 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. I like to use my block lock rulers to trim these kinds of squares. The rulers have a channel on the back side of the ruler for the seam to be in, so there's no hump under the ruler and it's very accurate when you cut. Now that we have all of the components of the block made and pressed, it's time to put it all together. You need to set aside 2 of the 4-patch units and 2 of the half square triangle blocks, and we're going to sew the other 6 all the same way. Consult the pattern to make sure you have the pieces facing the correct way. When you send it through the machine, the dark of the 4-patch unit should be sewn next to the medium triangle. For the last 2 units, the light of the 4-patch unit is being sewn to the light triangle side. For all these units, you are going to press towards the half square triangle units. Now it's time to put these 8 units together to make 2 different 8.5-inch blocks. For 2 of the blocks, the triangles will point in the same direction, and 2 of the blocks, the triangles will point at each other. Now the 4 corners of the 16.5-inch block are sewn and they just need to be pressed. I use a little bit of Mary Ellen's Best Press spray and during this part just to help them lay nice and flat. You're going to make 2 half blocks. You're going to piece them together as they're shown here. I'm going to pin this one in the side I need to sew it and set it aside while I'm sewing the other one. At this stage, a lot of the seams will be nesting together, but if they're not, I like to pin them so that when I'm going over them, they won't shift. Pins can be a very useful tool. Don't be afraid to use them. Just 1 seam left to sew. You want to press both of these units the same so that when you flip around the other one, it'll have seams that nest together. This is a 16.5-inch block, so when you're done sewing this block, it should measure 16.5 by 16.5, and in the quilt, it will measure 16 inches by 16 inches. Now it's time to press it flat, and you're done. This has long been a favorite block of mine to make, and it's great made with scrappy fabrics. Here is my red, white, and blue version, mostly blue this time, not much red. And then here is my bright prints with a black background. It really looks cool, I think. When I was practicing this block, I made a few extra versions just so you could see how it would look if that was the only block you made the quilt out of. So this has a bunch of different fabrics in it. I really love the way it looks, and there's a couple different ways that you could arrange this too. You can also set them this way where they kind of form a diamond in the center, and the more blocks you add, the bigger those diamonds get. It has a really cool effect. These last two pictures I'm showing you in grayscale so you get an idea of what it would look like in black and white. We hope you remember to hit that like button, make a comment about the project, share with your quilting friends, and most importantly, subscribe so that you don't miss any of the blocks or any of our other fun videos and projects. Thanks for watching, and happy quilting!